For our trouble spots, we're going to talk about two basic things. First is controlling the head, and second is proper body positioning. For controlling the head, let's get to that point. There's a couple sticky points in this that we work with. So first is pulling forward here, right? I need to make sure that I not just pull forward, right? Because that brings this whole body forward. I need to pull forward but kind of downward. And one of the things I can do is I can use my elbow here to push against his body to buckle that head more downward in this direction, and then I can pull down using my elbow. So just like this kind of motion here, okay? The other factor here is this arm. I need to get underneath and just lift it up high enough so that I'll be able to snake my hand underneath his neck once I'm in this position, okay? So from here, I'm gonna take this forearm and I'm gonna drive it across the back of his neck and come underneath into that tricep. Now there's one more little detail here is from this position, I wanna pull his arm across. The farther I pull this, the more control I have over that arm and the tighter it's gonna be locked in this position, okay? So if we go from a slightly different angle here, when he comes in, here, I pull down, I'm gonna come under. Here, if I do this, look at all this gap. This is a big space for him to be able to try and move or escape, that kind of thing, right? When I pull this across, this locks everything tighter, and you notice that shoulder kind of rotate back and lock into place a little bit, okay? Now the other important detail here is this forearm. If I leave this up, his head can escape out this direction really easy, okay? So when we get into this position, I need to make sure that I keep my elbow down here so that I keep that rotation in his body, okay? So I hook, pull, and bring everything down here, and I've got him locked nice and tight. When we talk about body positioning, there's a couple of key elements here. So as Nate punches, we get to this position. The first point where we're controlling his body positioning is the pull the head. And what we say is basically where the head goes, the body goes. So when I yank his head forward, his whole body comes down. You notice this break of the posture here, okay? Now when I'm into this position, what I'm using at this point is the leverage of the shoulder here, right? The limited range of motion in here with the shoulder and the head at the same time because I let my forearm do the work. You notice as I shift my elbow down, it rotates him back more, okay? And this is important whether I want to knee and then escape or knee and then go to the takedown option from there, okay? So we have all these different contingencies in there depending on where I want to go with my technique. Now, if we go to the actual takedown, this is an important key too. So when I do this drop, if I drop here and he starts to roll, right? If I don't do anything to him, notice how he's turning in towards me. He's got all his weapons available. He's got both arms and both legs. If he has any skill on the ground, he's going to be able to defend himself at least adequately from here, okay? So what I want to do is as he's falling down, this push to the face is really crucial to get as soon as possible. If he's in this position here, right, and I can push his face all the way towards the ground, it makes it very difficult for him to roll back towards me because he's trying to go through his own neck, and you can't do that. And notice now that he's on his hips, his legs can't reach me up here as effectively to strike, right? He would have to try and shift and move to a different position before he'd be able to do that. And with me pressing his face firmly into the ground, that makes it really difficult to do.